I mean, I don't know exactly like what you're going to be comfortable talking about, but everybody keeps saying that you were the trigger man. Is that accurate?
Next question.
Can't talk about that.
Let's talk about that.
Why did he end up getting shot anyway? Like, why? Especially
I
if,
don't feel like the drugs was part of the situation. I just feel like, I don't know, we was just kids being kids from the hood. Too much movement. That's all, too much movement.
Pop Smoke's alleged killer is back in the headlines, and this time, it's chaos on the streets. Reports say he got caught slipping in New York by some serious goons. But here's the twist. This isn't just any suspect. It's the same guy who dodged a life sentence because of how young he was when Pop Smoke lost his life. For months, this dude had been wilding online, dissing Pop Smoke, dropping slick comments, and even hopping on podcasts to talk about the case like he was untouchable. He acted like the streets forgot. But nah, word spread fast. And once the streets caught wind of his location, things took a dark turn. That fake confidence, gone in a flash. And just when everyone thought the situation couldn't get any crazier, boom, another twist hit. The brother of one of the other suspects was reportedly found lifeless on a beach, stuffed inside a barrel. The streets have been buzzing nonstop since that news dropped. It's all anyone's talking about right now. It almost sounds too wild to be real, but the story's spreading everywhere. So let's rewind a bit for anyone who doesn't know how all this started. Back on February 19th, 2020. That's the day the music world lost Pop Smoke, one of Brooklyn's brightest rising stars.
Pop Smoke was known by some of the biggest names in the business, like Nicki Minaj and 50 Cent. His murder has stunned fans everywhere.
Everybody's talking about it. Police say suspects broke into his home and shot him.
He was only 20 years old when he was killed during a home invasion in the Hollywood Hills, a tragedy that shook hip-hop to its core. Pop was just getting started, man. His sound, his energy, his whole movement was next level. And just like that, his life was cut short, leaving fans and the entire culture in shock. 5 people ended up getting locked up for Pop Smoke's murder. And here's the shocking part. Most of them were teenagers, barely out of school, trying to pull off what they thought would be a quick robbery. But one of them, the one everyone says actually pulled the trigger, was just 15 at the time. Because of that, when he confessed in juvenile court, the system couldn't give him life in prison. Instead, he was sent to a juvenile facility, just until he turns 25. That's it. No life sentence, no punishment that truly fit what happened. People were stunned, saying it didn't come close to matching the weight of taking a life, especially someone like Pop Smoke. Fast forward to when he got out, and this is where the story takes a wild, unpredictable turn. This dude really walked back into the world thinking he could move freely, like the past was behind him. He acted like serving a few years made everything cool again, but New York had a whole different plan for him. The streets don't forget, and they definitely don't forgive that easy. Before we get into what happened next, it's important to remember why Pop Smoke's death hit the world so hard. This wasn't just another artist being taken too soon. Pop Smoke was in the middle of transforming the entire sound of New York hip-hop. He was putting Brooklyn drill on the global map in a way nobody had before. Tracks like Welcome to the Party, Dior, and For the Night weren't just bangers. They were straight-up anthems that had the whole city lit. Pop had that raw, powerful voice, that deep, commanding tone that could shake a room the second he spoke. His energy was unmatched, his presence unforgettable, and his movement unstoppable. Pop Smoke had that rare energy that only true stars carry. Charisma, presence, and pure star power. Major artists were lining up to work with him. Travis Scott, Nicki Minaj, Quavo, they all saw what was coming. Everybody wanted a piece of Pop's sound because they knew he was next up. He wasn't just buzzing, he was on his way to becoming a legend before our eyes. When his posthumous album Shoot for the Stars, Aim for the Moon dropped, it didn't just chart, it exploded. #1 right out the gate, and it didn't slide off the charts either. It stayed there week after week. That's how much of an impact Pop had. His voice, his energy, his whole movement kept living on. People weren't just grieving a rapper. They were mourning a once-in-a-generation talent, a kid with limitless potential who was taken too soon. So when the guy connected to his murder walked free and started acting reckless, it hit people deep. This man wasn't just talking slick online. He was out here doing interviews, cracking jokes, and speaking about that tragic night like it was just another story. The disrespect was unreal. It wasn't only about one person. It was about disrespecting Brooklyn, the culture, and millions of fans who still blast Pop's music with pride every single day. Instead of laying low, showing remorse, or just staying quiet, he jumped on podcasts like it was a press run, full-on interviews where he basically recounted the night Pop Smoke lost his life, and the tone, cold, detached, even smug. It shocked everyone who heard it. In one interview, the host tried to dig in, asking if that night was planned or if it turned into chaos by mistake. And the way this dude responded, man, it was chilling. He spoke like it was nothing, like there was no weight to it at all. The casual way he described everything left people furious. It was pure disrespect to Pop's legacy and everything he stood for. He said it straight up, like it was nothing. It was a robbery. Nobody sent us there. Nobody did none of that. That's all false information. It's a lot of pages. That's like giving out false information on YouTube. They don't know nothing. Y'all don't know nothing. Y'all just assuming and y'all just putting together as y'all going around.
How would you describe what was going on that night? Maybe even just like take us through the day if you want.
Well, I'm not finna get into detail about too much, but it was a robbery. Nobody sent us, nobody did none of that. That's all false information. It's a lot of pages that's like giving out false information. YouTube's like the vlog, false. Like they don't know nothing. Y'all don't know nothing y'all talking about. Y'all just assuming and y'all just putting shit together as y'all going around.
He said that like he was clearing up gossip, not talking about the death of one of New York's most loved artists. The way he spoke was cold. No emotion, no hint of regret, just flat and casual. Like he was talking about what he ate that morning. It's wild to hear someone speak like that about a situation that broke hearts across the world. And then he starts trying to rewrite the story like he's some kind of expert on what really went down, not someone who played a part in something tragic. The audacity is unbelievable. But wait, it actually gets worse. When the interviewer brought up all the YouTube videos, the coverage, and how people still say rest in peace to Pop Smoke, this dude doubled down. He said, they'd be disrespectful. I don't know. I just feel like if that was my boy and they're posting them and speaking on a situation like that, I feel like you myop too.
Then like the way they bring up the situation and they could be saying like rest in peace to them, they be disrespectful themselves. They be like I don't know. I just feel like if that was my boy and they're posting them and speaking on a situation like that, like I feel like you myop too.
What's the disrespectful part?
Can you believe that? Instead of understanding why fans and creators pay tribute, he flipped it and acted like he's the one being disrespected. The level of arrogance is unreal. It's like he forgot who the real victim was. Can you believe this? He's really out here calling other people disrespectful for talking about Pop Smoke's death, when he's the one responsible. The irony is off the charts. The audacity is unreal, and the lack of self-awareness, absolutely mind-blowing. When the interviewer tried to dig a little deeper, asking how they even found Pop's address that night, things got tense. There had been talk about Pop's friend, Mike D, posting a photo outside the house with a gift bag in the background that supposedly showed part of the address. But when the question came up, the kid quickly backed off, saying, "That part I can't speak about because I don't know how the address got found. I don't know. I'm not gonna say a lie to nobody."
But they'd be putting it together with like saying that there was, a bag with an address that was posted online. There was a photo of him and his friend where you could see the address in the background. Is a lot of that not true? It's just people putting shit together after the fact?
Oh, that part I can't speak about because I don't know how the address got. I don't know that part. So I can't even speak on that. I'm not finna share a lie to nobody.
But then he drops something that leaves everyone stunned. He says, "I didn't know him at all. I didn't know of him. I probably seen one picture of him before and I thought he was a model. I was like, he got a good modeling career going on."
I didn't know of him. I probably seen one picture of him before and I thought he was a model. I was like, he got a good modeling career going on. I mean, I thought he was just on that route, but then all this happened. I'm like,
a model? He really said that? He didn't even realize Pop Smoke was one of the hottest rappers alive at that time. Someone taking over the charts, shaping the sound of a whole city and making history. The disconnect is insane. And it doesn't stop there. He keeps going, saying, all of this happened. I'm like, I wake up in the morning. I don't wake up. I didn't go to sleep. I'm just like, damn, I'm just lost.
I wake up in the morning. I don't even wake up. I didn't go to sleep. I'm just like, damn, I'm just lost.
Lost? That's the emotion he chooses to show after everything that went down. No real remorse, no genuine accountability, just confusion and detachment. It's wild to hear him talk like that. Like he's the one who's dazed by what happened, instead of the person responsible for taking a young legend away from the world. But listen, it gets even wilder when you really break down what he said in these interviews. The interviewer looked him dead in the eye and asked straight up, were you the trigger man? And what does he say? Next question. That's it. No denial, no shock, nothing. Just next question.
Everybody keeps saying that you were the trigger man. Is that accurate?
Next question.
Come on, that's not a refusal to answer. That's basically a quiet confirmation while trying to sound slick about it. He knows better than to admit it on camera, but not denying it at all. That speaks volumes. It's like he's trying to dance around the truth, thinking he's being clever, when really he's just exposing himself even more. Then he starts breaking down the night of the incident, and the contradictions start flying. He says, nobody was intended to get hurt. Nobody was intended to get hurt that night. But moments later, he slips up, saying there was too much movement going on. Too much movement? That sounds like chaos, not control. You can't say nobody was supposed to get hurt and then admit things got out of hand. It's like he's trying to rewrite what happened to sound less serious, but the truth keeps slipping through his own words. When the interviewer asked what he meant by too much movement, he tried to clear it up, saying, movement from Pop Smoke, movement from everybody in the house. Too much going on. It wasn't intentionally. We wasn't on that.
Too much movement. That's all. Too much movement. Movement from everybody. Too much shit going on. It's too much shit going on. So it's just like, it wasn't intentionally. We wasn't on that.
But come on, which one is it, bro? Was it an accident, or was there chaos that supposedly forced your hand? Those are two totally different stories. The fact that he can't even keep his version straight while casually talking about someone losing their life. That's what's making people furious. Then he drops another bomb. He admits he was high that night. He said, I was off a perk, so I wasn't really fully aware of anything. Like, what? So you're saying you were on pills, barely aware of what was going on, and still decided to hit a robbery? That's not an excuse. That makes it worse. You weren't even in your right mind, but you still went out, and now someone's gone forever. It's shocking how he tries to twist his own recklessness into some kind of explanation, like it softens what happened. The lack of responsibility is insane. And when the interviewer asked if he and his crew had done missions like that before, guess what he says? Next question. Again, just dodging it like he's being slick.
Had y'all gone on missions like this before?
Next question.
That's not denial, that's avoidance. And it only makes everything sound even guiltier. The way he shrugs through these moments like it's nothing is what really sends chills down people's spines. The message behind his words couldn't be clearer. This wasn't their first time trying to rob someone. These guys were really out there living that lifestyle, thinking they could keep hitting licks with no consequences, like nothing would ever go wrong. The arrogance of it all is unreal. When the interviewer asked if they knew anyone inside the house that night, or if someone on the inside backdoored Pop Smoke, he got a little more direct. He said, nobody backdoored, nobody. I know that 100% for sure. Nobody backdoored, nobody. That female, I can't speak too much on it, but she don't know what she's talking about at all.
Nobody backdoored nobody. Let's clear that up. Nobody, I know that 100% for sure. Nobody backdoored nobody. That female, I can't speak too much on it, but her, she don't know what she's talking about at all.
So yeah, he tried to shut down the backdoor rumors, but he did it with zero respect, like he was correcting gossip instead of talking about a tragedy. The way he spoke, it was like he thought he was doing people a favor by clearing the record, not realizing how cold and heartless it sounded. It's like he forgot he's the reason a life was taken in the first place. And just when people thought it couldn't get any more disrespectful, it did. Because right after these interviews, he started acting up online, moving on social media like he was some kind of celebrity, posting, talking slick, and feeding into the attention like he enjoyed the spotlight. The internet couldn't believe it. The audacity was through the roof. This dude really started wilding online, posting on Instagram, dropping subliminal messages, and moving like he was proud of what he did. He was acting like some kind of celebrity, like being Pop Smoke's killer was a title to flex with. It's sickening. Every post, every story, every slick comment, the streets were watching closely, taking mental notes. Nothing he did went unnoticed. Every move was being clocked, because here's the thing. When you take out one of New York's own, you don't just walk around carefree. You better move like the city's got eyes on you from every block, because it does. New York don't forget, and Brooklyn definitely don't forgive that easy. Pop Smoke wasn't just another rapper, he was Brooklyn. He had the whole city on his back, from Canarsie to Bed-Stuy, Brownsville to the Bronx. Dior had everyone doing the woo walk. Welcome to the Party was blasting in every club, every car, every basement party. It was the soundtrack of the city. His music gave people pride, gave them energy, gave them identity. Pop's movement united boroughs, and this kid really thought he could disrespect that legacy and just walk free, talking reckless on camera like it was all a joke. He went on podcasts breaking down what happened, saying things like, "We was just kids being kids, kids from the hood," like that was supposed to make it okay. Saying that doesn't soften anything. It just exposes how twisted his mindset really is. Kids being kids is sneaking out after curfew, getting into trouble at school, doing harmless dumb stuff, not running into a house, taking a life, and then jumping online to brag about it. The fact that he tried to frame it like they were just young and clueless shows how disconnected he is from reality. He wanted sympathy when all he showed was disrespect, not just to Pop Smoke, but to the entire culture that loved him. Here's where the story flips, and this part had the whole city talking. Word started spreading all over New York that Pop Smoke's killer was out here moving wild again. People saw the interviews, the social media antics, and the arrogant way he carried himself, like he had nothing to worry about. He was outside, moving freely, smiling for cameras, acting untouchable. But let me tell you something about New York, especially Brooklyn, they don't forget, ever. When you cross one of their own, time doesn't erase it. It just builds the tension until it snaps. And according to multiple street sources, people who stay tapped in, that's exactly what happened. The word is this dude got caught lacking. And not just slipping a little, we're talking lacking. He was somewhere he had no business being, probably thinking everything had cooled off just because he served his short bid. But nah, the streets don't work like that. Reportedly, a crew pulled up on him. And when they did, things got ugly real fast. Now, of course, details vary. It's the streets after all. Everyone's got their own version of what went down. But what's consistent across every account is this: he got handled. We're talking about a real violation, the kind that leaves a lasting reminder of what happens when you disrespect a legend. From what people have been saying, this wasn't some quick scuffle either. It was personal. It was calculated. They wanted to make sure he felt it. New York doesn't just move for revenge. They move with a message. And that message was loud and clear. You can't mock a tragedy, disrespect Pop Smoke, and then act like it's sweet out here. You can't jump on podcasts, talk reckless, and expect to walk around Brooklyn untouched. The city sent a warning, loud, physical, and unforgettable, that not even time can protect you when you cross someone the streets still honor. They waited for the perfect moment, caught him when his guard was down, and made sure he felt the weight of everything he had done. And honestly, a lot of people felt like it was bound to happen, not because violence is ever the answer. It's not, but because of the sheer disrespect this dude had been showing. You can't take someone's life, get a light sentence just because you were young, and then turn around acting like it was no big deal. You can't do interviews bragging about it, talking slick like you're proud, and expect the streets to stay silent. See, the legal system and the streets play by completely different rules. The courts might have gone easy because of his age, but the streets, they don't care how old you were. They care about respect, loyalty, and never speaking foul on the dead. And he violated all of that. He disrespected Pop Smoke, disrespected Brooklyn, and disrespected the entire culture that still rides for Pop to this day. But here's where this story takes an even darker turn. And this next part left people shook. Remember earlier when we talked about the 5 people who got arrested in connection to Pop Smoke's murder? Well, one of them was a dude named Jaquan Murphy. Now, Jaquan didn't end up getting charged in Pop's case, but he's currently locked up for a different murder. Yeah, sounds like a real stand-up guy, right? But it doesn't stop there. Jaquan's brother, Javonta Murphy, ended up in a situation that sounds straight out of a movie, except it's very real. On July 31st, Javonta's body was found inside a 55-gallon barrel floating in the water near the Pacific Coast Highway Bridge in Malibu. Yeah, you heard that right. A barrel, out in the ocean. The scene was so shocking that even seasoned investigators were stunned. People couldn't believe it. First the chaos around Pop Smoke's case, then the interviews, and now this brutal twist involving someone connected to the same circle. It's like every piece of this story just keeps getting darker. And every time you think it can't get wilder, it does. This part of the story is absolutely insane. A maintenance worker was the first to spot the barrel, just floating out there in the water like it didn't belong. He tried to pull it to shore, but it was too heavy for him to move alone, so he left it, probably thinking it was just some random piece of trash drifting by. Nothing could have prepared anyone for what was actually inside. The next morning, a lifeguard came on duty, noticed the same barrel, and decided to swim out and bring it in. When authorities finally opened it up, what they found inside was horrifying. Javanta's body, completely naked, stuffed inside that barrel like he was disposable. It was a sight that shook everyone involved. The coroner ruled it a homicide right away. There was no question about it. Here's the heartbreaking twist. Javanta wasn't just some random guy. He was an aspiring rapper himself. He loved music, had dreams of making it big, maybe even following the same path that Pop Smoke had blazed. He probably grew up listening to hip-hop, imagining himself one day on that same stage. And instead, his story ended in one of the coldest, most tragic ways possible. That's the brutal truth about how these streets really move. There's no loyalty, no mercy, just cycles of violence that never seem to stop. But what makes this even crazier is what came next. According to reports from TMZ and the LA County Sheriff's Department, investigators started looking into whether Javanta's murder was revenge for Pop Smoke's killing. They were exploring whether someone connected to Pop, or even just a fan who still carried that pain, decided to take justice into their own hands. Imagine that, someone possibly tracking down a person linked to the case and handling things in the most ruthless, street-style way imaginable. Think about it, a body in a barrel tossed into the ocean like garbage. It's dark, it's twisted, and it shows just how deep the emotions around Pop Smoke's death still run. This wasn't random, it felt personal. The streets might have decided that if the system didn't deliver full justice, they would do it themselves. No courtroom, no trial, just cold vengeance in the most haunting way possible. That kind of energy has been floating through the city ever since Pop Smoke passed. Anger, heartbreak, and a deep hunger for real justice. People have been carrying that pain for years. And when the guy who actually pulled the trigger started doing podcasts, talking wild, and flexing on social media like he was untouchable, it lit that fire all over again. You really think the streets were just gonna let that slide? Not a chance. There are plenty of people who feel like the justice system completely failed Pop Smoke and his family. They saw how light that sentence was and felt like the system didn't value Pop's life the way it should have. But what outsiders don't get, especially those who never lived that street life, is that out there, there's a code. It's not written down, but everybody knows it, and it's serious. You don't brag about bodies. You don't hop on interviews giving play-by-plays about what you did. And you definitely don't act proud about taking someone's life, especially when that someone was loved by millions. That's the ultimate line you don't cross. But this kid, he broke every part of that code. He got out of jail and immediately started moving reckless, like nothing could touch him, doing interviews where he talked about Pop Smoke's death like it was a random story, posting online like he was famous, moving like the world forgot what he'd done. And through it all, no remorse, no regret, no sense of accountability, just straight arrogance. It was like he didn't even understand the weight of what he did or the pain he caused. So of course, the culture reacted exactly how it always has. Because in hip-hop, when someone violates the code that deeply, there's always a response. The streets have their own justice, their own rules, and they handle disrespect the same way they've always handled it. Directly, without warning, and without hesitation. They finally caught him lacking, and when they did, they made sure he became an example. Let's be real for a second. The legal system straight up failed Pop Smoke. There's no other way to put it. The person who took his life only got sent to juvenile detention until he turns 25. That's barely a slap on the wrist for something that changed the world forever. Think about that. Once he's released, he'll still be young enough to rebuild his life. He'll have time to start a career, build a family, and chase dreams. All the things Pop Smoke never got the chance to do. The unfairness of that hits hard, and it's exactly why so many people feel like justice never truly came for Pop. So here's the message, loud and clear. If you think you can do something horrible, brag about it later, and act like the world's just gonna move on. Think again. The internet doesn't forget. The streets don't forget. And sooner or later, you'll have to face the consequences. One way or another, Pop Smoke might be gone, but his presence never faded. His sound still echoes through every beat of drill music. His influence still shapes hip-hop, and his legacy still inspires a new generation. His name lives on forever, and the streets made sure no one would ever forget what happens when you disrespect that legacy. Artists still shout Pop Smoke's name in their songs, still honor him in interviews, and still chase that same raw energy he brought to every track. His sound lives on, his style still inspires, but the man himself is gone, taken way too soon by people who never even realized the value of what they destroyed. Rest in peace to Pop Smoke, a true Brooklyn legend who left a mark too deep to fade. And rest in peace to Javanta Murphy, caught up in a storm he probably never saw coming. 2 lives gone, 2 stories tangled in tragedy, all because of choices ego, and disrespect. The streets remember everything, and this whole saga proves one thing. Justice doesn't always come from a courtroom. Sometimes it finds its own way, and when it does, it hits hard. I hope this story makes people think twice, because the culture is paying attention. The streets are always watching, and karma doesn't miss. So tell me what you think. Was that beating street justice, or just another cycle of violence spinning again? Should the system have handled things differently when it came to juveniles in cases like this? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's talk about it. And if you've been locked in till the end, make sure you like, subscribe, share, and comment to keep this conversation alive. Stay alert, stay safe, and remember, the streets never forget, and they're always watching. Peace.